Hello, welcome to Application 6-6, your very last video of the year. So we're going to look at this application as to how we're going to make a line of best fit using our calculator. Now, we're going to show you using the TI-80XS multi-views. If you need to borrow one of these from us, you are more than welcome to, or if you have your own calculator where you would like to see how to do this, feel free to talk to your teacher and we'll be glad to help you figure out how to do it. Also, as I go through this, if you would like a visual to go through with these instructions, the very last page of your packet has an appendix where it has all these steps written out. Okay, so just like our last calculator video, the first thing we're going to want to do is clear our calculator out. So we're going to turn it on, and we're going to hit second 0 for reset. And it's going to ask us whether we want to reset or not. Of course, we want to choose yes, so we can do that by highlighting the yes and hitting enter, or we can simply press 2. And we're going to get a message that says memory cleared. Alright, now we're going to look at our data. So if you look at number 1 on our application, we are given a chart with meal cost and tip. Now, notice that we have two variables, a meal cost and a tip. This first one is going to be our X, and our tip is going to be our Y. So what we're going to do is we're going to enter this data into our calculator. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to hit Data, and it's going to bring us to the list feature that we were using in our previous calculator video. Now, last time we only entered data into list 1. This time we have two variables, the X and the Y, so we're going to put our X's in list 1 and our Y's in list 2. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to type in my X values into the calculator. So I start with 4.75, so I will type in 4.75 and then I will hit enter. I'm going to work my way across with the X values. So I'm going to have 6.84. I'm going to have 12.52. I'm going to hit 20.42. And then my last one is going to be 8.97. Remember, we hit enter each time. And if we highlight that last value, it's going to say list 1, 5. That means we have 5 numbers in our list. We should have the same number of X values on our sheet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That way we know that everything is matched. We're then going to just hit the over button, and we're going to be now in list 2. Now I want to type in my Y values in the same exact order. I want to make sure that my Y is going to be lined up across from my matching X value. So by 4.75, I'm going to put 0.50, and I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to go and continue to do that across my Y values. I have 0.90, I have 1.50, I have 3.0, and I have 1.00. And it might not always put the decimals, especially if it's something like 3.00 or 1.00. It's just going to put the whole number, but you know that it's going to have the same thing. Now, you always want to make sure that you have the same number in list 1 as you do list 2, so we know that we have 5 numbers in each sequence. And now we're going to go back to our home screen. So we're going to hit second mode, and we're going to be at our home screen. We then want to hit second and data, and it'll bring us to the same screen we used when we were finding the mean and the 5-number summary. Now, before we were doing the mean and the 5-number summary, we were only dealing with one variable. Now we are wanting to deal with two variables, our X's and Y's, so instead of choosing one varstat, we're going to choose two varstat, and we're going to hit enter. We want to make sure that our X data selects list 1, because that's where we put all our X's, and our Y data selects list 2, because that's where we put all our Y's. So we're going to go down, and we're going to hit calculate, and it's going to give us a long list of numbers. Now, I want to scroll down pretty far until I see the capital letters D, E, and F along this left side here where they have it labeled. And if I do that, I see that I'm given an A, a B, and an R next to those. Those are the 3 values that we're going to need. So I'm going to go ahead and write those down, and I'm going to round to 2 decimal places. So my A value is going to be 0.16. My B value is going to be 0.29, which is going to round up to 0.30. Now it's also important to pay attention to the signs, so I want to make sure that that negative that's in there is in my answer here. So I'm going to have negative 0.30. And then my R value I'm going to round. And this one we're going to round to 3 decimal places because it can be a little bit tricky sometimes. And we'll talk about why in just a second. but we're going to put 0.911. Now, the trick now is to get this into an equation form. We have been previously writing lines in the form y equals mx plus b. This was our slope-intercept form. M was our slope, and b was our y-intercept. All right, we're going to be doing something very similar, but instead of using an m, we're now going to use an a just for this feature when we're using the calculator, so it'll be ax plus b. This time a is going to be our slope, and b is still going to be our y-intercept. So if I take and fill in from my values here, my equation is going to be y equals 0.16x minus 0.30, because that was our b value. And we're going to put our r over here. That r is going to be our correlation coefficient. Remember, that tells us how strong or how weak our correlation is. This is a positive number, so it's going to be a positive correlation. And it's also very close to 1, so we can go ahead and say that this is a strong positive correlation. So it's going to be pretty reliable if we use this to estimate a value. Now, we're also finally asked if the next diner orders a meal costing $10.50, we want to know how much tip should the waiter expect to receive. Remember, our meal cost was our x value. So we're going to plug that into the equation that we just found, and we're going to substitute that $10.50 in for x. So we're going to do y equals 0.16 times $10.50 minus 0.30. And I'm going to just type that into my calculator. We're done with this, so I can hit clear. And I'm going to type in 0.16 times 10.50 minus 0.30. And I'll slide my calculator over so we can see that. We're going to enter, and we're going to get 1.38. So if we have a meal that costs $10.58, we should expect a tip that is $1.38. All right, that wraps up your very last video. Congratulations, you've made it. Go ahead and pick up your last application, and then go ahead and good luck on the 6-6 mastery check.